Hello and welcome everyone to our Friday Facebook Live. I am here with Sarit. Sarit is a BodyTalk therapist, and today we're going to be learning exactly what that is all about. And Sarit, maybe I'll just kick off with you and what brought you to this field of work?
BodyTalk, okay. So hi everyone. So it all started like a bit in an unexpected way. Got waitlisted for my master's. That was my background, psychology. And at the time I had a feeling, okay, fine, this is actually right, but there's something more, there's something else. And randomly fell into this course on medical pendulum. I'd never even heard about it before. Or
medical pendulum, yes, okay.
Or picked one up. And yeah, that opened up a whole different worlds. It was actually quite crazy, while I was doing the course, how much was happening. Speaking just energetically, or knowing things, or seeing things, or seeing more beyond just the physical within the body. And yeah, that was amazing, but I felt like it was too broad and too open-ended, and where do you actually go with all of this? Mm-hmm. And that's when I found BodyTalk, and I did the BodyTalk course. And what I love about BodyTalk, it's so structured and so focused on the person sitting in front of you, where you really want to heal with just a focus. It's not just this broad, open-ended, checking in with the pendulum. It's much more structured. And the way BodyTalk works is you have to learn a diagram of the heart, which is very much to do with the learning. Yeah, you learn it off the heart, and because it's so structured, because it's so much on that left brain, and you're so focused on asking those questions, that right brain intuition just flows. And you start picking up on what the person's going through, whether it's energetically, emotionally, physically, where the imbalances lie in the body. And yeah.
Gosh, it's very interesting. I had my first session with Sarit a couple of weeks ago. Thank you for inviting me in for the opportunity. And it was really relaxing. I mean, I didn't know what to expect. I think, I'd like to talk to you about that. What are the expectations that a lot of new clients have? Because, for me, it was almost a feeling that maybe you were a psychic.
Yeah.
You were picking things up in me that I couldn't even feel or I wasn't aware of. And I think it's really, a lot of it has to do with trauma that we're storing in our bodies. And when you're in that safe space and you're lying down and you feel very supported and grounded, I think it opens up energetically, like you say.
Yeah, so a bit different. Yeah, so I get that a lot. People joke around oh, I'm the witch. And I think people can always especially teenagers or younger people, they really buy into that. Okay. They walk into the session with trepidation, what am I going to do to them? Their moms have dragged them here, now what? And I'm don't worry, you're not going to levitate. Yeah. This is quite a relaxed session. So I think we all have intuition. We all have, that was when I did the medical pendulum course. It just opened stuff up. It had happened before, but I just kind of said, coincidence, well, I imagined it. It wasn't really there. We've all had that gut feeling when you walk into a room and you just think, something's not right here, I shouldn't do that. We don't really listen to it or trust it because we've been trained in our thinking of just being if you can see it, it's real. If you can prove it, it's real. It's very much that. And that was my training in psychology as well. Just leaning onto that scientific mode of thinking. And a session is just really you coming in for a session and tuning into what your body wants to say. And that's why it's called BodyTalk, because your body talks to you through your symptoms. We just have to kind of stop and listen. And the way to stop and listen is by becoming curious about your symptoms and trying to understand where they're coming from and why they're there, instead of just well, how do I fix them? And of course, there's a time and a place for that. If you have broken your arm or you're in labor, don't come to a BodyTalk session. It's more the symptoms that are niggling that you don't have the answers for, or you've been down the medical route and you just feel like there's something that's not.
They always say the complementary medicine and integrative health work is really about fixing the hole, not plugging a hole.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's to me what it felt like when I had the session. And I wanted to ask you also, we were discussing about different modalities like chiropractic and craniosacral therapy. I actually did a short course on craniosacral therapy a few years ago. Sure. And it's similar in the sense that you're just holding the space for that person to heal, and you're allowing them to be still And, at the time as well in the training, I also felt, how is this actually doing anything by just cupping a head or placing your hand underneath the spine? And yet afterwards, there's a deep sense of settling and being. And I think that's, part of the stress that everybody is going through, and why we all kind of in that heightened panic mode is because we don't stop. We're doing, and I'm guilty of it myself. And BodyTalk and these other complementary therapies force you into being.
Yeah, for sure. So interesting that you did craniosacral therapy. You've done so much. I think I had the same feeling when I did BodyTalk. When we went in, I did it with a friend, and we both looked at each other and like, oh my gosh, let's just leave. This is crazy. Like, what are you actually doing? It sounds so airy-fairy and such rubbish, and it's just too good to be true. Well, thank God we both stuck it out. And I think there's something very important in what you're saying of that, just holding space and making room to just actually tune in and what is my body saying. And you are ultimately your best healer. Because if you eat your lunch, you don't have to think about telling your body what to do with what you've just eaten. Like, take these nutrients, this isn't good, this is good. And the same with like your heartbeat. It's not like you're telling your heart every second to beat. I think we're not conscious of it.
Autonomic.
Exactly. So there really is, we have an innate wisdom to heal. And that's, the question becomes, well, why are things going wrong? If our body is so brilliant, and it is, and it's so good at healing, why is it just stopping? And it's just because your body actually wants your attention. There's something there that you need to become aware of. And once you become aware of it, your body is like, oh, yay. Finally, you got this message, and it can actually begin to really, really heal. And that's the part, like when I went with my friend, oh, rubbish, this is too good to be true, but it's actually really not. It is sometimes that simple. Yeah.
Well, what you're saying, it kind of reminds me of fine-tuning an instrument.
Yeah.
If your body's this instrument and it's in tune, it's going to feel good, it's going to sound good.
Exactly.
You can play music, but you just need one string to be slightly too tight or loose, and
it throws everything off.
And you can't play a melody. So it makes a lot of sense to me.
You just like explained the dynamic systems theory versus the Cartesian model
of
healthcare. And that is, but like the medicine's based on that Cartesian model of looking at the body as a sum of different parts. And if you just say like the string is broken, okay, let's just tune in and fix that string and everything else will be okay. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, because the dynamic systems theory, which BodyTalk is based on, looks at the person as a whole. So if that string's, for example, broken, well, wow, what's going on? Well, put it out of that place in the first place. You can't just focus on one element.
Cause.
Exactly. And the root cause, it doesn't only have to be physical. We have a physical body, but our emotions play a huge role on our health. If you're nervous and anxious before an event or a test or an exam, your body's going to respond. You're going to feel it. So through major trauma or things that are really impacting it, how can it not play a role? And that's going back to that dynamic systems theory of, it's not, yes, there's a physical body that can definitely go out of balance. There's an emotional body that emotions impact, and there's also an energetic body that when it's out of balance, it really can impact you.
Now, I've heard that in BodyTalk, I mean, to me it sounds like it needs to be quite in a physical realm where you're on a bed and you're being tapped and you feel that connection and that warmth. But there's also a place, if I'm not mistaken, for BodyTalk to be done over the phone or virtually. And then that blows my mind a little bit.
It does, I guess, yeah. Not only yours, and that's where the witch reputation really comes into play, and people run away from me because I think I'm going to read their minds. But there's actually a nice video, maybe we can share the link afterwards, it's basically explaining the Baxter effect, which is a scientific theory based on with quantum physics. I'm not going to embarrass myself and actually tell you, because I'm not a quantum physics
think you would at all.
expertise, but it's a very nice video to watch because it explains what you're saying. How do remote sessions work.
Emotional field, and
there's a real energy field, a real tangible energy field, and I've done sessions on people overseas where I don't even know what they look like, or I just need a name and their permission, and they'll tell me nothing. But you can really dive into what is going on systematically, like what is it out of balance? Is it their digestive system? Are they getting recurring headaches? Is there back pain? And it can go very specific into which vertebrae, they're on the left side or the right side. And it can freak people out a little bit, like, how do you actually know? And it's just because we're not only physical. We have an energy body, and we have that intuition, and there is a way to tune into that. And I think for most people, especially if it is, they come for a session, they're like, don't tell me anything, because I get tested, right? They want to see how much can I pick up. They're not going to say anything. Most people leave feeling like really validated, like, oh my gosh, I really thought this was just in my head, and it's real. Like, I'm not just seeing it, you're also seeing it. And especially when it comes to aches and pains, because I think most people that land up at BodyTalk, they've done everything else, and it's frustrating because they don't have the answers. And it's quite a scary place to be in, where you're really feeling this physical pain and you don't know how to get rid of it. I mean, I had someone with very severe back pain, sciatic pain, and to the point where she wasn't sleeping at night, and having to constantly be on these painkillers, which she also had to stop because it also wasn't good to be on this long term. So really at a dead end. She thought BodyTalk was the biggest load of rubbish, and said, like, I saw her a few days after the session. She's like, what did you do? What is this voodoo? Like, what happened? Like, how's my back pain gone away? And it really is, because it's that simple. You got, like, what came up in her session was the message she needed to hear of what was out of balance. And again, it's nothing major or traumatic. And her body was like, yeah, you got this. The back pain can go away.
So it's that acknowledgement.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think, as you say, it's physical pain, but I'm sure a lot of people would come in with deep traumas as well. And I think, the question is really how many sessions does one need on average to resolve through something that's deeply rooted, or maybe from their childhood, or, current bad situation. How do you work through that?
So it's a hard question, because not one size fits all. And
sure.
For sure, like, each session is going to be so different, but I always like to average it down to 3 sessions. Okay. Like, after 3 sessions, there should be a real noticeable shift where you're like, okay, BodyTalk's really working for me. And like you said, it doesn't have, most people come, they're like, oh, I don't know why I'm really here, I'm just curious. Like, for most of the time, it's not like they have something physical. Or it could be anxiety. BodyTalk works really beautifully with anxiety. But again, what's your anxiety trying to communicate? Why are you anxious? Instead of just fixing the symptom of anxiety, and of course there's a time and place for that, we want to understand, well, what's making the body anxious. And a lot of the time, getting to the root cause of that is such a relief. The anxiety, you understand, okay, fine, this is why I'm anxious. And you can work, it gives you very tangible tools of what to work through. Because something comes up in your session that really deeply resonates with you. You deeply feel like validated, understood, heard, and it's just a tool to work with. And kids respond so well to this.
That's what I was going to ask you, actually, was what ages, what is the youngest ages that you would work with, and how do you consider kids in all of this?
So the youngest I worked with is 6 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and the 6-week old baby had a lot to actually say. You'd think that they had nothing. Well, what are they doing with their days?
Yes.
But like, it was fascinating to see how much she was actually aware of what was going on, and she was very stressed out because someone had gone to the hospital. And she had a big stuffy in her cot that was scaring her at night, and she wasn't sleeping.
Oh my goodness!
It sounds like so funny. And like, even when I was saying this to this mom, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. It was about the stuffed animal. And she took it out of the cot, and she was much better. She stopped screaming, and she slept. And also, like, the mother was shocked. Like, how would she know that so and so was in hospital? But they pick up on a lot of things. We're more aware, and more intelligent than we let on and think. And yeah, so kids balance really well with anxiety, with sleep issues, with like toilet training. There could be a lot of emotions around that. And yeah, some people get lucky. I think all the skeptics, or it's almost like unfair. They come for one session and I think it's a lot of like, like their wives force them, or that was their last resort, and they have like really significant results. And yeah.
I was going to ask you, I mean, you've given us a great example already, but in terms of success stories or case studies, over the years, are there any others that have really stood out to you?
Sure, I think there's so many. I think with kids, mostly like anxiety, where they're on the brink and they come for a BodyTalk session, they don't end up on anxiety meds because they've got to the root cause. And another one, if I just kind of think on top of my head, is someone that had like recurring acne, like really, really severe acne from the age of 13. I think she came to me, she was around 24. And she had been on Roaccutane, and while on Roaccutane, it was fine. The symptoms of the acne went away. It cleared it up. It worked beautifully. But the problem was, the minute she went off, all the acne came back. And it also wasn't feasible to just be on Reacotan because it also has the other impacts on you. So it was so fascinating what came up, and this took a few sessions because it was deep work, and the whole thing came up around her mom and a connection to her mom and how she was holding her mother's pain and the emotions around that, and her skin cleared up. It's just it took some time, but it's just then that's going back to that Cartesian versus the dynamic system model. Yes, with the Cartesian model, we're just treating the skin, and that's it. There's a time and place, and again for that, if it works, great. But for this person, it wasn't working. So where was she left? And that brings in that dynamic systems theory of, okay, fine, there's acne. For sure, there's a physical imbalance here as well. But there's much more than that. There's also emotions. There's also environment or past traumas or things that your body holds on to.
Sure. And in terms of the training, I mean, you came from a background of studying psychology. Do you have to have some kind of background to do this work professionally, or can anybody say they want to be a body talk therapist?
I think anyone can say they want to be a body talk therapist. I think if you're interested in it and you're drawn to it, it's your kind of path anyway. But the more backgrounds you have, the more you add to your toolbox. So remember at the beginning I was saying about the left brain versus the right brain, you're learning this chart off by heart. So I have the basics of the body talk chart, and I've included my own knowledge into it as well. So you can really build this whole chart with everything that you know, and the more you know, the more you can help the person in front of you. From a physical, biological perspective, about understanding the body, as well as emotions or belief systems or where trauma sits in the body. There's a beautiful book also called The Body Keeps the Score.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So just having his research also in the back of your mind, you kind of, you're pulling from a whole lot variety of different areas. Again, it's making it so much more dynamic instead of anything's possible, any emotion's possible, any imbalance physically is kind of can connect really to something
it's all connected. Exactly. That's why even here in this space it's called the mind body evolve space, because you can't focus on the one without acknowledging the other. And the more information, the richer the picture.
Exactly.
So I think I wanted to also just touch on a few of the background of body talk, because this is not something that's new or woohoo. In fact, I think it's been around for almost 30, 40 years now.
Somewhere around there. So it was developed by John Boltman. He was a chiropractor in Australia, and he was very frustrated because his clients would come to him, he would practice what he knew from that Cartesian model as well, and his clients would just get better up temporarily and come back with the same symptoms. So he felt frustrated, what's the purpose? He's not really healing in a deep way. So he developed body talk by taking so much. I always say that body talk has so much falls under the umbrella of body talk, because it's included a lot. And then so going back to that chart again, the more knowledge you have, the more you can really deeply heal someone. And so I think that's it's nice that he had that medicine, medical knowledge.
And how big is it now? I mean, how widely spread is it? How many therapists do you know of that are doing this, even within this community? Johannesburg, the Greater South Africa, is it widely popular?
In South Africa, it is. Overseas, it is, but it's not body talk. There's different modalities, but I think people are really open to it. Because there's a frustration. I had someone come to me the other day, and she was she went to the dermatologist for all these different issues, and the dermatologist was just writing scripts. It's no fault to her, but she was I've tried this cream, it doesn't work. What else can you give me? What else can you actually do? And she was so frustrated that you're just writing me a script. What else can I do? Or what else is there? And I think that's going to the point. We can treat our symptoms, and we can just stick a plaster on and walk away and kind of think, okay, well, now it's solved. And you can also be a bit more curious and want to know, okay, why are these skin conditions there? Is there something else I can do beyond just treating just the symptom? What's the root cause? And that question also leads to a lot of self-empowerment, because I'm not healing. I don't do the healing. I facilitate the process. Your body is actually doing the healing. And it's very, very rewarding, that you actually, through your work, that you're doing, or consciously of being more aware of yourself and your environment, you get the reward of healing. So this person with back pain, like, it actually came back 2 or 3 weeks later, and she was like, okay, fine, but now I know where it's coming from. What was the trigger? What happened? And pinpointing that, back pain went away again. So it's rewarding. You become an active participant in your own healing instead of just getting a script and treating the core. Like, just, being very inactive.
And tell me, Sarit, how do you regulate yourself with all of this? And obviously you're taking on, the chronic stress and traumas and pain of other people. How do you make sure that doesn't kind of become self-absorbed in your own energetic field? What practices do you have to do?
So, BodyTalk. But I always say,
do you go to someone?
I do go to someone, not as often as I need to. So we all kind of do that to ourselves, I guess. But I go to someone, and it's always so nice to go back, because you're like, okay, fine, this is what it feels like to be on the receiving end. It's so relaxing and it's so validating. And I think also with working with energy, it doesn't actually bring me down. Like, some of my clients sometimes will apologize to me and say, I'm so sorry, so sorry, I'm like, I'm dumping all of this on you. But with working with energy, you have to raise your energy vibration, and you raise the clients, and you're working from a good space. And my view with issues, it's like from Galas to Gula, like from a really bad dark space, but there's going to be a relief. There's going to be a journey at the end where you enlightened and you heal, and you saw the meaning and the purpose behind all of this pain that you're in. So there's always a good outcome. There's, like, life is hard. We all go through things that are really, really tough. I mean, I think, we don't have to say, we all know. Like, I think
got their
we don't go, no one goes through life and has it easy. There's always going to be something, and just knowing that, okay, there's the process. We can work through this. We can heal from this, and
amazing. No, wow, very insightful. And wanted to close with 1 or 2 mentions before we kind of just get into how people can contact you and all of that. Is that we are going in very soon into the month of June, and it is International Yoga Day on the 21st. So if you are a member of the studio, or if you've never been to the studio, there'll be a lot of special events that are happening. In fact, next week on Thursday, we're having a free demo, which is on Yoga Restore with Melissa Luboff. And that is I think, a perfect segue from this conversation into just coming here to be and to heal. We also have our sound bath classes. So
which are amazing.
You came for the first time.
It's like the best thing ever.
Thank you.
It really is.
That's also on a very different level. People don't understand how can that.
So it's so healing.
So we've got a few events, special events. Please don't be shy. Come and pop in and have a visit. And then, of course, Sarit, maybe just a bit about where you practice from and how people can find you.
Okay, so my practice is in Wellness on Woodyatt on 11th Avenue, but you can also have a remote session on Zoom or on WhatsApp. I suppose, can we leave my contacts in the...
We'll leave it in the bio.
But you can find me also on Instagram and on my website, but we can leave that all.
We'll put that in the bio, definitely.
But I think, I love what you do, because again, I don't think it's complementary, and that's what you said about BodyTalk. It's complementary. We have to include our medical health. We have to include also movement, and yoga is so it's such a beautiful movement in terms of connecting you to your energy body, and
definitely. No, there's 2 medicines in the world, I believe, or maybe with a third, but movement is medicine. Food is medicine, and obviously we need to rest and digest, and the sleep is medicine, and that's, I think, personally also for me, always been a bit of a problem, and why these kind of therapies are so important.
Definitely.
So we'll leave it at that for today. Also, just a quick mention, we also have a beginner's yoga course happening this Sunday with Nisha, and there are still 1 or 2 spots available. So if you have ever been curious, what is yoga, or you feel too shy to join a class, or maybe you're even considering something further along yoga studies, she really is fantastic. And otherwise, have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Look after yourselves well and keep evolving. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.